We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc and theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode 96 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. On this week's episode, we asked the question, have you ever experienced thermal shutdown with your laptop? If you have, please send me tips on how to fix it, because holy shit. Either I need to strip this thing down to next to nothing, or my Samsung Q530 has finally bit it.
Bit the dust.
Exactly. I mean, it's done me pretty well. The power button's on the outside of the case. Whatever. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about things I didn't watch on my Samsung laptop. And it's going to be great. You know, we're going to do an entire episode with everybody's favorite segment, WWWtW, or what we watched this week. So who wants to start off the rounds of fun? Or did you guys have it was a long weekend. Did you guys do anything that involved just watching stuff the entire time?
No, I actually didn't have any series to catch up on, so I was watched a lot of individual things this weekend.
So you watched all of Bad Blood and Big Mouth and all the other series that we told you to watch?
Well, yeah, obviously I watched those in a pocket dimension and got that all finished with first, and then I came and had nothing else to watch.
Watched all the individual stuff. Yeah. I never
Scott, you just got put on a burn notice.
I never want to hear you having nothing to watch, Scott. Never ever.
No, that's fair. My problem actually lately is having too many things to decide between and being I don't know which one I want to start or commit to right now. On the weekend, it was which Amazon Prime thing am I going to hop on next? And I end up just rewatching the Grand Tour. So I love those three guys. I know I love those three. I'm not ready to watch 2 seasons of Handmaid's Tale or whatever else there is to catch up on, or Bad Blood, or
Bad
it's just
Blood's
so much.
worth it.
Okay, Bad Blood is so worth it.
Noted yet again. But that
Who
is
watches Bad Blood? Craig watches Bad Blood.
I have to watch season 2.
Who watches Bad Blood? Andrew watched Bad Blood.
I watched season 1.
Who watched the first season and hasn't watched the better season yet? Craig.
Really? Season 2 is the better season?
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Is it still rooted in reality? Because that was the best part about season 1.
Yes and no. It covers more actual everyday thing, shit that's going on.
Okay. So it's still probably...
It gets more into drugs,
so it's,
as opposed to being just the mob. It's what's going on in Montreal versus what's going on in Ontario, and how Ontario's gang is trying to move into Montreal.
all right.
But it covers more so the real what's going on inside the gangs, where there's some people who are committed to let's keep it the old way, and some people are nah, I gotta up profits by using this shit.
Yeah.
So
where the first season was more the family drama.
The actual history, yeah.
Cool.
There is a lot of family drama, but it's not so much the Italian gangsters in Montreal, considering they're all dead. Spoilers.
Yep.
But no, it's amazing. Kim Coates is fantastic.
Obviously.
Canadian content is where it's at.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with it, watch it. You'll get over it. Okay. If you can sit through 18 seasons of Train 48,
which we know you have,
which we know you all have. Don't lie to me. Every single one of you has watched Train 48.
They're clearly too busy watching that to listen to the podcast.
There's too many episodes. They're probably still on season 7 trying to catch up. They're God damn it, why is Mr. Kim, why is he speaking totally fluent Canadian accent here? What is going on?
Yeah.
But watch it.
Yes.
Okay.
So Scott, now that we've sidetracked your list, continue on.
Okay, well, I did watch
Grand Tour.
Yes, I rewatched the 3rd season just because I watched it at the beginning of this year when it came out, and I just felt like rewatching it because, like I said, I was paralyzed with so many options between Bad Blood and Big Mouth and all the other things I didn't actually consider, but
all of the other mouths.
Yeah, but what I did end up watching was also I went and saw Hobbs and Shaw, the new Fast and the Furious spin-off sequel
Okay,
thingy.
so it was your money that got it into the #1 movie in the world. Then.
Well,
which still kind of pisses me off that that's even like something they get to advertise, like #1 movie in the world. Yeah, because
there's nothing
you were
else
the-
on.
You were the only new movie that came out this week.
There's
Everyone goes to
nothing
see the
on.
movie within the first 3 weeks now. Like what?
that's
Come on.
marketing.
Look at the drop down that happened from like even like Endgame over the first week. Like it was a staggering drop off because everyone goes at first. Like you shouldn't get to advertise #1 movie in the world.
The only
Like that'll be like me saying like best haircut of the day after every fucking haircut I do as it gets better. Like
Well, no, so it'd be more like best haircut of, and you insert the
14 minutes
date.
37
Yeah.
seconds.
Then it'll be a little more accurate. But yeah, no, I went and saw it. There's nothing really to say. If you've seen the trailer, you know what the movie's about. It was fine. I like the action bits. I thought it was like they took a little bit more of a fighting approach with the action as opposed to all car stuff. So I enjoyed that. We've got a little bit of car stuff, but it was mainly just watching The Rock and Jason Statham beat up people or fight different people. So that part was enjoyable. Their banter was hit and miss. Sometimes it went on too long. Like there was a couple times they stopped the movie just to have those two insult each other. So that, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the type of movie you're expecting if you've seen any of the trailers and just thinking about it. So, don't rush out to see it unless big Fast and the Furious fan or big Rock fan or big
So not
Jason
me.
Statham fan. Yeah. No, I was going to say like Craig, yeah, you don't need, I didn't think you would ever think to go see this in theaters, but yeah, you definitely don't need to. There was a couple fun cameos, which I won't spoil, but that's
Spoil them, dude. Like let's be real.
okay.
Like
You guys are going? Okay.
I'm gonna go see it eventually because Kendall loves it, but I'm not invested.
Okay. So
And
spoiler
I may never watch it.
spoiler for
Does
the
Vin Diesel like make a phone call?
No,
or some
see,
shit?
so that's what we're gonna say before I even say spoiler. It's not the type of cameo you would expect, meaning it's not a Fast and the Furious like cast member cameo. So, but spoiler
Oh,
for
is it his mom or something like that who's in it?
Pardon?
Like I heard something like his mom's in it or something like that.
whose mom? The Rock's?
Like the Rock's mom.
I don't know if
yeah.
that's his actual mom, and if it is,
Okay.
that'd be cool. I don't know. No, it was Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart both made little appearances, and it seems setting up. It seems that they'll be in the sequels potentially for the Hobbs and Shaw, so like
I
part
don't
of
like
Hobbs
that
and
you just
Shaw's
said
team.
sequels. I don't like that.
Well, it was the #1 movie in the world this past weekend. So
Yeah, and so was
don't-
whatever I filmed last week too.
yeah, I'm just letting you guys know these movies are big like global hits usually. So that's usually what drives their
Where's
success.
the spy movie based off my life where it's like I go cut hair, but then somehow like what was it? CSIS, Canadian CIA.
Yeah.
They come up and they're like, "Hey man, like you're the perfect guy. We can get you to infiltrate this because we need information and we know they talk to their barbers. So let's get you in there. Let's get you to find stuff out. And then what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to like airdrop you from where you're doing the haircut onto this boat." Because they're going to pass on words, so you got to go do it to like the major leader of this organization, and then you're going to have to like alpha male scuba dive off the top bow of the ship underwater and swim under while they shoot torpedoes, but you're going to have to ride the torpedo and like pull it a little bit so it doesn't hit the land. Like, why can't they make that? Why are they 72 movies in about fucking people who drive cars? But it's not even about driving cars anymore. It's about family and bullshit.
It's always been about family and bullshit and
bullshit.
so much
Like,
bullshit.
I'm willing to look the other way because it started off as just cars.
Yeah.
And now it's secret agent shit.
Well, now it's just like the action movie in a sense. It's just whatever things we want to throw into an action film that don't quite make it, which is actually, I was going to say they don't quite make it a superhero movie, but this one really, really, really like gets close because it's got a super villain.
What's next? Are they going to cross over with Ocean's 9? where like Sandra Bullock and the team need to like team up with them in order to like infiltrate this shit, and they gotta steal the nuclear codes,
Yep.
but then they gotta drive the nuclear codes somewhere else.
Well, you actually saying that, there was another little fun thing.
Don't even tell me like there's something like that in the mix. Don't.
Okay,
even.
so think of Jason Statham, and think about his movie career, and think about a movie that might tie into it, that has a certain car that's very British, but it takes place in a place where they make Ferraris.
I'm drawing a blank, dude. If it's not the Meg or like Crash,
Italian
I have
Job.
no idea.
They had a little connection to They had a little nod of it, like, oh, is he the same guy from the Italian Job? Is he the same character? They had a little Mini Cooper, and he said something about being in Italy. That was it, but it was awesome. It was stupid, but I kind of liked it. That was the best part of the movie for me. It was like, oh yeah, they made a little connection. Cool. Why not?
What is happening with movies? Like,
What do you mean? They're turning into comic books.
I'm just getting so sick of everything, guys. Like, it's at a point now where I almost just want to go see really depressing movies where I cry.
Art films?
For 2 hours and like
you just
I want to start going to like bullshit like indie movie fests.
Yeah.
Because at least then I'm not like, oh, they're setting up 4 sequels or shit like that.
no. There are no sequels to whatever it is that Wes Anderson just made.
No. Like, I don't want to, like, because I start thinking about the money, and I'm like, because they know they fucking got your money. That's the only reason they're setting up these universes.
Yeah.
And I get it from a marketing standpoint and a financial, make your money. Make hay while the sun shines.
Exactly.
But, like, I fucking hate the idea of them being like, gotta cross this shit over. Like, it's like what they're doing on the Arrowverse, or like with Grey's Anatomy and that, was it Ladder 49 or whatever it's called? Like, it's like what they're doing with that, but like on a big budget movie scale, where like you can't just do something. It's got to tie into 4 other fucking movies and have characters that have never existed, but all of a sudden Kurt Russell's there and he's acting like he's existed forever, and his name is fucking nothing, but it's
nobody.
also like, ha ha ha, like,
It's quite.
oh
It's
my god,
literally Mr.
It's literally
Nobody.
nobody. Like, why? Like, and you can't just put like shove people in there and be like, he's existed forever. You're like, no, he hasn't. I'm like, yeah, he has. It's cool. She died, but she's not dead. But then she has a baby, and now they have a baby. And then this guy, it's cool. They're just gonna strap a baby to someone's jetpack and jump out of a fucking building. But where'd they get the jetpacks? Don't ask questions. Just watch it, bro. You're like, oh my god. Like, it's too much. That's too much, man.
Thank you, Sarah Lynn. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah, so they had a little tie to the Italian Job.
These people need to get real jobs.
Yeah, I can't believe we were still talking about Hobbs and Shaw. So yeah, I went and saw that. What else did I watch? I watched the season 6 finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I'm all done up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for now. And do you guys want some spoilers that are going to make you even more mad, Andrew?
I was gonna say, hopefully they're done forever.
Okay.
Pour some kerosene on this fire.
So-
kerosene is fuel.
So first, I don't know if you knew what happened in this season, but they brought Greg back as a new character as Sarge, and then they spent the whole season making
Wait, is he playing? I didn't know they got rid of him in the first place.
Okay, so he died at the end of season 5 because that was supposed to be the
You know
show's
what,
original.
I
end.
do think you mentioned it. Now that you've said it, I think I remember you mentioned it.
Okay, yeah. So he was supposed, like, the show was supposed to end after season 5, and then they got an extra 2 seasons like last year, very last minute, like just like literally like a couple weeks after the season, the 5th season was about to like finish up. So yeah, they had killed him off, but they wanted to bring the actor back, so they wrote a new character who ended up being actually a pretty much clone of Coulson, who was sent back in time and then had to live a different life, but didn't know he was Coulson. It was also possessed by like these things which came from a similar dimension as Ghost Rider. So they made that whole connection. They brought the monolith back, and then they wrapped this whole season up by killing him because he ended up being kind of good, kind of bad. But guess what they did at the very last 2 seconds of this episode, so to set up for next season?
Brought him back.
Did
again.
they break?
They brought him back again. Yes. Yeah. And I was super happy. I know this just drives you two crazy, but for me, I was super happy because they finally just went They're just taking it all out. They're just like, yeah, we don't care. We just want this guy around. They made him a robot this time. He's an LMD now with
So they
extra
jumped
chromacon
the
technology.
This is like what they keep doing with like Laurel in
Yeah.
like an Arrow, or with Roy, where they're like, no, he's gone. He's never coming back, except for like 2 seasons later when we're gonna bring him back for most of it. But he's not gonna be every day. He's gonna be in the future. Or Laurel, where they're like, yeah, she dead. Oh no, they saved her. Oh no, she dead.
Oh, she did. Oh,
Or
no,
like
no.
Grey's Anatomy, where everyone has a fucking tumor, or everyone has a heart attack, or like just why? Like I get that it's you need something compelling, but like does it have to be like the on and off again, like light switch with people like being alive or dead? Like does everything have to be suspense? Like if I went through my whole life like just stressing the fuck out because you're like, oh my god, like what if this guy does this, or like is this guy good, or is this like fucking to shoot myself? Like if I woke up every day and was like, gotta pay my hydro bill today, gotta pay my hydro bill today, gotta pay my hydro bill today, because I thought they were gonna turn off the lights every single fucking day, like I'm pretty sure a toaster in the bathtub would sound a lot better. Like, or if I woke up and they're like, oh man, like this guy's dead, oh he's back, or this guy's dead, or this guy's back, like fucking Jesus. Like this is why I have started just rewatching all the stuff I've watched, because I'm like, I'm not willing to sit through like the bullshit anymore.
No, I get that. The only thing I will say in defense of just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this is that the show is based off them bringing him back from the dead too. So that's like the only thing where I'm like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think is like
Once.
the exception.
Once.
I've never liked
Once.
it
Well,
from the beginning. Never
first-
liked it at all.
Well, that's that doesn't surprise me.
I'll
Craig.
give the first season credit where it's due. The first season was like, holy shit. With the last like end of the season twist where they're like, yeah, he's actually been with Hydra the whole time, and you're like, what the fuck? Did not see that coming. And then the second season, you're like, meh. And then the third season, where they're like, oh, here's Ward back again, but he's not Ward. He's actually this thing with the hive. And you're like, what the fuck? And then after that, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening? Like, does everything have to end on a fucking, like, a cliffhanger?
Well,
Like,
only
it
if you
can't
want
just,
another
like,
season.
or does it have to be, like, a bullshit cliffhanger? I'll take that back. Because I really like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine cliffhanger at the end of their seasons. But, like, does it have to be like, we're killing this guy, we're not killing this guy, this guy's a robot now, but then there's this, and it we're gonna send you into the future, but don't worry, you're coming back, but maybe this guy's gonna die in the past, but no, he's coming to the future.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we all know how many like how long a contract is with a lot of these people, because there's no privacy in Hollywood or in television or anything anymore. We all know how long they're gonna be around, or like we find out that this guy's not going to be in the show next season, like as they're finishing like the last season before they announce this. So like we all know shit's coming, and it's too much. It's too much. Either stop reporting about shit or just stop doing it.
Yeah, so I finished Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Okay. What else did you watch that's going to piss me off, Scott?
I'm trying to actually just decide. I'm like, I did watch another episode of Legion. I'm trying to decide what happened in that might have pissed you off.
The whole show makes sense.
Well, they brought yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I can't remember what your stance on Legion was.
It's just I can't get into it, man. Like I have tried for your sake.
Yeah,
and
no, I
just,
get that.
It's too off the wall.
Yeah, no,
like the lack of structure as its structure. I'm just like,
well, that's part of how that's part of.
No,
the,
I get
yeah.
that. That's how it's made. It's
Yeah.
just it's not for me.
No, I get that. You have to it is a show. You have to be sitting and staring at the TV to watch. You can't do anything else, because there's it's not just stuff's happening.
Visual.
You have to be paying attention, because sometimes it's a trick of the mind, and you have to be paying attention to a flash or something. So yeah, no, I get why it's hard to get into.
Like I would rather sit down and watch 7 hours straight of Ali Wong than sit down and binge watch a season of Legion.
Wow, okay. I didn't know it was that bad, but all right.
Just I can't do it, man. Like I said, I know the off the wall and the lack of structure is its structure. It's not something I can do.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Because
it's
very
more of a
rarely do I sit down and just like watch something.
Yeah.
Like just like fucking that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Usually if I'm doing that, it's because I'm paying for it at a movie, like at the theaters.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like my television, I want something that I can get up and go take a dump, or like do dishes, or like whatever.
Yeah, no.
Have a nap and wake up and I didn't really miss much.
Definitely. And this is definitely one of those shows you can't do that during. You can't be like,
Yeah.
because and that's part of what I enjoy about it. And it's funny, all the things you don't like about it are parts of the things that I enjoy about it for being kind of unique and
Yeah.
different. But I also understand. It's kind of like when you had trouble, like with you, like physically getting ill from Spider-Verse because it was making you dizzy, right? It's like, okay, I know, I
Yeah.
get it. Like, it's similar to that in a sense, but it's just
Like it was so
tastes,
cool, but
yeah.
just I can't do it. Like I physically cannot do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So yeah, I watched Legion. It's going to be actually finishing up next week, the season finale. So you won't be the series finale even too. So you won't have to hear me talking about Legion ever again after next week. So
Let's be real. You're gonna go back and you're gonna Legion or Shield it. You're gonna go do.
well, see,
You're gonna go-
you say that I've
you're
already
gonna
done
go
it.
and do your-
I already did
yeah,
that.
And you'll do it. You'll do it a third time.
Probably, but I won't do YouTube videos.
Let's
for
watch
it this
Legion.
time.
Let's look at Legion. That'll be like your thing.
Don't give me ideas that you don't want me to do.
I want you to be happy. Okay, that's it.
Well, we can talk about some of the other things that I watched that made me happy this week. I went back to an old classic, which was Infinity War.
That old
The good one.
classic.
The last amazing Marvel movie. Awesome.
Yeah, I rewatched it because Endgame's been out on digital for the last couple of days, and I'm just waiting for my DVD to come in from Amazon. And so, yeah, I just watched Infinity War just to kind of get me ready again to watch Endgame. And I know it's not one you enjoyed, and we won't get into that one again. But I'm excited to rewatch Endgame. That's all I'll say. Yeah, so I watched Infinity
Someone
War.
has to be.
Something else I watched some more of the Comedians in Cars of the new season.
Okay.
I'm blanking on who was it?
I saw Sebastian Maniscalco's on a scooter.
Yeah. I think I talked about that. I think I saw that one last week though. This week I think Martin Short and somebody else that I watched.
I'm all for Canadians, but like that guy, come on, son.
Yeah, I know you're not a huge fan of Martin Short or Steve Martin, right?
I can live with Steve Martin pre Pink Panther. Post Pink Panther, no, you ruined it for me. I peeked behind. What was that?
The Burger?
It's awful.
Of all the movies I actually could quote from, that's one of them. And that's the only line though. The Burger? It's such a stupid scene. Anyways, yeah, so I watched Comedians in Cars, and the last thing I actually wrote down that I watched another of Brian Callen's specials. His
Hilarious.
Yes. So I watched Man Class, which was from 2012, I think. It's on Amazon Prime. I think
On
all of
Prime,
his are
yeah.
on Prime now,
I
actually.
think so, yeah.
So yeah,
He's fucking hilarious. Which one is that?
this is his
Is
first
that the
one.
Is that the one where he's like, does he bring out somebody as like his butler in that?
Yes.
Or is that yes?
Yes, Scottie Pippen,
Oh,
or
fuck. That's no,
it's not Scottie Pippen. What's it? It's
definitely not Scotty.
no, that's the wrong one. It's something Scott, or it's the guy that's in Entourage.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, isn't it
It's
Pippen?
Pippen something.
No,
it's something.
Pippen, Jeremy Pippen.
Jeremy
It's
Pippen.
Jeremy
That's
Pippen.
there. It is. That's
Where he
why I was
brings him
getting this
out
all
just
mixed
as like
around.
a just as like an alpha move. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I enjoyed this one, but I like that he's like I liked his more recent one even more. Complicated Apes. I felt this one it was about 90% physical. Like all his jokes kind
Yeah.
of based off him doing something physically kind of funny. And I like that he's kind of grown a little bit from there. It's a little bit more joke telly.
He's a comedian where you can actually like pinpoint his career and see where he grew,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like a lot of them you can see where they got into not necessarily a rut, but they found a groove of what worked for them and they stayed there.
Yeah.
Like they put in like Jim Gaffigan's a guy who started, he was funny, and then like through 2 or 3 specials he grew, and then he found like what people liked, and rather than try to like build off that, he just threw it into cruise control.
Yeah.
Or Tom Segura's where he's like fucking hilarious, fucking hilarious. Kind of funny because he threw it into cruise control. And he's like, well, people like my podcast like this, so this is all I'm going to do. And I'm like, man, damn it. Like, I understand your business model, but come on, differentiate.
Which one do you, so is that Disgraceful, you think, is most like his podcast?
A little more like it,
Okay.
as opposed to, like, his first two.
I hadn't thought about that. It's funny you said that because I've started listening to his podcast actually since having, like, I haven't rewatched any of his specials since having started to listen to his podcast. So I hadn't really noticed that, but I'll have to go back and pay a little more attention to that.
I'm forgetting the names of them, but his first two comedy specials, he starts off, and, like, maybe it's because he's heavier and he's, like, kind of, the universe has put him in his place. But, like, he relies, like, solely on his comedy, and, like, he's kind of self-deprecating.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the third one, like, he kind of follows his kind of, like, he's got, like, this arrogant persona on the podcast of, like, whatever, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say what I want, do what I want. And he kind of falls into that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can see
find
what
in
you
the
mean
third
now.
one. But whereas Brian Callen, like, you can visually see
Yes.
the growth. not height-wise because he's a small guy.
Yeah.
But you can see a growth in his comedy style.
Yeah, it becoming literally tighter from it being
Yeah.
less, like, physically dependent on, like,
Yeah.
because I, like, this first special of that, like, the one I watched, his Man Class one, which was his first special, reminded me a little bit of, like, a Jim Carrey type, who was like, oh, he's funny
Yeah.
because the way he's acting when he's doing something, as
Yeah.
opposed to telling, like, he was still telling, like, good jokes and stuff like that. It's just a lot of it was, like, set up to him doing some kind of funny physical bit. And I like that he's gotten up to just doing kind of more stories with bits than kind of punchlines and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Kevin Hart, where he's fallen into that rut of, like, you know, there's gonna be the animal story,
Yep.
and you know there's gonna be a story about his kids being dumb, and he's gonna do the voices. Shut up, bitch.
And his dad.
Like,
Don't forget a story about his dad. Yeah, involving
like,
his dad.
he's in cruise control too.
Yeah.
Or like I mentioned with Tom Segura, where, you know, he's gonna tell stories, but he's also gonna be kind of a dick now.
Mhm.
Whereas his previous stuff, it was like all stories, and a little bit of.
It's mostly stories.
Well, I was gonna say, it wasn't one of them called Mostly Stories.
Yeah, that was his first one on Netflix, or his second one.
Yeah.
Because the first one's completely normal.
Yes.
Hey
Okay.
Tom, where's your show?
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I watched this week, though, that I can at least remember that I wrote down.
That took.
Who wants to go
longer than I
next?
thought.
Yeah,
we had
that
some
was
good
a-
tangents on that, though. Like,
Yeah,
It's because Scott
Well-
watches controversial stuff.
yeah, super controversial.
I watched
What the hell's
the,
Apparently,
but you two agree on everything you watch, and it's like, I'll come in here
that's
watching.
not true.
Well, that's fair.
not
That's
true.
fair. Yeah.
Sometimes we disagree.
More
I
often,
mean,
though, you guys
some-
are
mo-
more often. You guys have
stuff that
very
we disagree
similar,
on is-
or you'll have one
yeah.
or two things that are the same. So it's like you guys will have a little talk about that, but it's also like, then I'm out here, you know, watching stuff that you guys don't ever care to watch. Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff that we generally don't see eye to eye on is stuff where it's like a significant other who made us watch it.
Mhm.
That's the thing that we have in common.
Whereas Kendall has literally never suggested anything awful to me. And Sam makes you watch Glee. So
It's more
We'll leave it
Sam
at
watches
that.
Glee and I'm in the room.
So
And
you
it's
can spend
hard-
time with her or
I can
watch
watch-
Glee.
I
or
can
not
watch-
watch Glee.
I can watch literally anything at this point. So
because you suffered through Glee.
well, yeah. That's yeah.
So since we're talking about Glee, Craig, you might as well get going with your list then.
So I watched Glee.
Yeah.
I learned something this week.
Oh, what did we
Something
learn?
that I'm sure I knew before. It feels like it was in my brain somewhere, but I managed to find a way to remove it from my consciousness so that I would never have to remember it. But I learned one of the cast members died in the middle of a season.
Oh, damn.
Unfortunately, my favorite character.
Oh gosh.
So that was crushing.
That's a very double tragedy, obviously, because
Right?
he passed away.
Well, because we start watching an episode and Sam's like, oh, this is the sad one. And I was like, A, how do you know? You've never watched the show before. And B, why is it sad?
Yeah.
And
What
then
is sad about this?
they were doing a thing and I was like, oh. so did he like die for real? Or she's like, yeah, it was a heroin overdose. And I was like, ooh. And now I hate the show.
That
now-
can ruin it for you. Yeah.
Now the show is devolving into something that, see, before it was tolerable. Before it was a show that I could watch and I could enjoy somewhat, but for the most part, not really like. And now, because they're on we're on going on to season 6 now, like, and I think there's 7 seasons in total or something like that. So now we're hitting the point where they're running out of character development space, and everything is becoming like
Shouldn't they have all
caricature.
graduated by now?
See, that's the thing, is there's 4 seasons and they graduate and then they keep freaking going because they replace them with new people in the Glee Club at the school, but then you follow the people on the outside of the school and they're adults who should be leaving high school behind, but much like a lot of people in Welland, they keep coming back even though they are starving artists living in New York
That's
City. And
Yeah,
they
no one
have
follows that.
Is
they
this
have-
like the main bitch on it?
they have like big apartments with nice stuff, an apartment in New York City that doesn't freeze to death or is not filled with rats, and they're like working at a diner and all this stuff, but somehow they manage to fly back to Ohio like 3 times a month to do stuff, and there's no character development anymore, and 2 people who aren't even in the Glee Club anymore are fighting all the time, and some of the people that are around the high school are just getting to be too much for me. It's done. The show is finished. I don't care about your 6th and 7th season.
Yeah, you're coming to the feelings I have about most things, but like high school, like the focus around just like high school drama is like the central theme of the whole show. Is like, oh yeah, we got like the Glee Club is the gimmick.
It was
To have
fine
them
because
have
they
drama,
were all
right?
see, but it doesn't feel like the Glee Club's the gimmick because it feels like there's just like everything's the gimmick. Like the whole show,
enough.
the whole reason for the show is to have music, is what I thought. But there's I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what it is anymore. They have celebrities coming on. Adam Lambert's now a part of it. He's not even involved with the Glee Club. He's in New York City, and just like
What are they going on? What's it called? X Factor or whatever he's judge on?
no, they haven't done anything like that yet. Thank God.
Not yet. He's got 2 more
I
seasons.
know, right? The only thing that's like the saving grace is, believe it or not, the comedy writing. You wouldn't
Yeah,
expect it
I
from
don't
that
believe
show,
that.
and maybe that's why I find the writing so funny. But they will throw a joke in there, and you're like, "Did you just really? You made that joke?" And it's like a passing thing that you'd almost think no one sees, and it makes me laugh every once in a while. But
Yeah, I just can't do it.
it's
Cannot.
I don't recommend it. At least don't watch past season 5.
If I'm gonna watch it, it's gonna be YouTube just watching the songs.
Yeah, the
See, and
different
some of it's really
performances.
good. Like, that's the worst part, is I'm like, man, that was good, but I'm like, you guys are professionals, of course it's good. Like, everyone on this show is a professional singer or dancer.
Yeah, you've been training
So,
for at least
Of
10
course
years.
it's amazing, because that's the whole point. And then it's filmed, and then the whole thing is recorded in a studio,
Yeah, that's what I was just
and
thinking
dubbed
too.
over top of it.
Yeah.
So, like, of course it's good. So
You have such
So-
a love-hate relationship with this show.
it's because I can't stop. Mostly by choice.
Won't
It
stop.
sounds like a high school love, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's like, it's
you just
most.
can't quit it.
I won't stop mostly by choice, but at the same time, like, I want to. I would like to quit it. So
You
I
just
watched
can't.
Glee. The worst part, again, I'll say it again, I say it every week. The worst part about Glee is you turn it off for 2 seconds and something happens and you miss it.
Some guy gets punched in the face.
Yeah.
And but then the guy who punched him, like, the only reason he doesn't get kicked out of school is because he agrees to join the Glee Club.
Yes. What's even more confusing about the way they write the show is even if you do watch it, I think I said it last week, is even if you do watch it and you watch every second, you pay attention, your phone is tucked away, and you're watching everything and absorbing it all.
And you're on opposite ends of the couch, so there's no funny bit.
You still miss stuff. It's like...
because it happened to 17 episodes
No,
ago?
because they don't write it into the friggin' script.
Oh.
They just refer to it. They're like, oh yeah, yesterday we
Yeah.
had that. Remember we were talking yesterday about this? And it's like, no, you guys weren't talking yesterday about this.
It is.
Did you want to fucking include me?
I was watching an episode, and the gay guy who lives in New York, Kurt, says something
Okay.
about being a newly single man, and it was like, you were just engaged. What did I miss? And Sam's like, wait, he's not. I thought they were. And I was like, yeah.
That's
That
so
would
ridiculous.
be like if on Psych, if one episode Juliet didn't know that Sean was bullshitting,
Yeah.
and then the next episode she kicked him out of their apartment, she hated him, and she was thinking of telling the chief.
With no explanation.
With no context.
And then
She'd
they
be
go
like,
back the next episode to her not knowing anything, because that's pretty
Yeah.
much what happened.
that is Glee. Like, do you think they might have fucked up the order? Because I
That's what I
can't
was
think of
just
anything
thinking
off the
about.
top of my head, but they have it on quite a few shows on Netflix, actually, where you'll start watching. Actually, Mindy Project's one of them, and they're like, here's a character you've never seen before, and you're like, what the fuck happened with this? So you're like, did I miss one? And you go back and you're like, no, I'm in order. This is episode 9. I just watched 8. Okay. And then episode like 10 will have nothing to do with that character, and then episode 11 they'll introduce them, and you're like, who fucked up here?
See, that doesn't.
And I have DVDs like that though.
That doesn't
where, like,
feel like
it's just
it's
they screwed
happening.
up somewhere on it.
For the most part, it feels like everything is nice and linear.
Just it's two separate.
Because it'll be
lines?
like-
Is that what you're saying?
It'll be like, I'm newly single. Something stupid will happen. Then there's drama based on it, but it's like, we don't really know what's happening. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, we're still engaged. And it's like, all in the same episode.
Okay. What season are you on? Season 6, you
Season
said?
5.
Season 5. Okay. I guess it's too early to ask. Because I'm curious to know, like, what the shelf life of these characters are. Like, how
They keep
far past,
bringing
like,
them
high school life.
Back.
Like, I would accept if it was, like, season 6 and, like, a character who graduated in season 2 came back. Just as a cameo. I'd be willing to accept that. But if you're going to keep someone as, like, a regular character long after their high school shelf life expires, like, that's sketchy. Like, that's like if, like, to me, that's like if you're 20 and you're still hanging around the high school with, like, 10th and 11th graders because you were friends with them when you were in 12B and they were in grade 9. You guys know who I'm talking about, or at least Scott knows who I'm talking about. Like, it happens, and like it's sketchy as fuck, and I don't want it on television. Kind of like giving this idea that it's okay if you do this. It's fine. When you're 40 and then your wife is 36, it's fine. You're like, yeah, it's fine. But when there's a percentage of your age where it's acceptable. Like 4 years when you're 40 is what, 10% of your life? That's fine. But when you're 18 and you're talking to someone who's 16 and it's like 25% of their life, weird.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't need it on TV.
So I watched Glee.
Yes.
I've watched a bunch of Mike Tyson mysteries so I could catch up.
What have you seen recently?
Can't remember. It's been a while. I would have caught up like Wednesday of no, it wasn't Wednesday. It was Tuesday of last week. I have no idea what day
Okay.
it was that I watched a bunch of them. Let me see where. Oh, it's not going to show me on here, is it? No, it's not.
Probably not.
I'm going to move on. While I'm
Good call. Good call.
while I'm looking it up. Well, I watched the San Juan episode where they go to the wrong place.
Okay.
And the cooking mystery one. But I have not watched episode 10, I don't think. The Young and the Restless. When a mystery seems to be more trivial than she expected, Young questions her life choices and whether she wants to remain on the team. I have not watched that one yet,
That doesn't sound like something I haven't watched either.
so that must be new.
No. Now I got to go back and I got to see what the last episode I watched was.
So I watched that.
My...
Show remains consistently awesome. It just seems like every time I try to watch it, there's more episodes than I think I've missed sitting there. So I'm okay with that.
It's a show when they come out with a new episode, you almost have to go back and watch like the 3 previous ones just because nothing ties in together.
No, there's no consistency between them. I watched a few more episodes of Designated Survivor. I'm still into that show. We are in season 2, plugging along slowly. It somehow manages to pull me back in, even though
I was gonna say last time you were more lukewarm on it again.
Yeah, I watched a couple newer episodes, and like I don't know. It's there's an investigation, but it's weird because it's like all over the place, and then like now there's family drama, but it's like investigation family drama, and I don't know. I can't look away at this point. So I will keep watching Designated Survivor until such time that it stops being interesting.
Or it's done.
Yeah, and then I'll replace it with Bad Blood. Why not? I watched some of Arrested Development Season 4 because my brother was watching it. The redo, because when they did it the first time it sucked, so they recut it.
Okay,
so that it made more sense and was more like the original seasons, and still funny. Love it. Ben Stiller's character is fantastic as Tony Wonder, and he's in a lot of this season for some reason. Don't know why. Guy has some money. I don't know why he was doing a Netflix show.
Maybe he's just bored.
Before there was really Netflix shows, he was doing a Netflix show. So
he might have just been trying to help out a friend.
That's
trying to
fair.
lend a bigger name.
So I mean, because man, why can't I remember his name now?
I don't know, but Ben Stiller's only worth $200 million. I thought for sure he was worth $500 million. I'm kind of disappointed in him financially.
Those things are never that accurate either. I mean, you always hear. That's also another thing that you could get into though too. It's like
that's true. But I mean, that series has Ron Howard and Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
And Michael Cera. And so I don't know if it necessarily needed the Ben Stiller and what's his name? Come on, I cannot remember.
Yeah, no, it does have some pretty big. Like it has some bigger names. But I mean, I was just thinking as a big name cameo, I guess would be a better way to put it. Yeah,
he was in earlier seasons too, like in the beginning, but then
because it was also a smaller show, if I remember correctly, too. Like kind of, I don't want to say niche, but
it was one of the first to not have a laugh track.
Okay, and I remember that being a big deal.
And then it was not very popular for a while.
Yeah,
and then it got canceled, and then it got brought back, and then it's finished now, thank God. Because it's overstayed its welcome. I guess the last thing on my list isn't really watching so much as listening. Inspired by last week's episode of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it again.
Shameless self-promotion. I love it.
I listened in the middle of the episode, so if you're listening to this one, good on you. But like, where are you? What are you doing? Look at what you're doing. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I did not listen to or watch a Kyle Kinane special about 7-Eleven dogs. I listened to while we were talking about Theo Von on the podcast, I looked up to see what was on Spotify. And he has a shorter album that didn't feel that short because it took me like half an hour to listen to it, called 30-Pound Bag of Hamster Bones. And let me tell you, hilarious.
Oh, this is the one you texted me about.
Yes, he does a bunch of so he's got 2 things on Spotify, and some of the jokes are in his Netflix special, which I kind of expected.
Yeah.
But the delivery is a little different, so that's interesting. And then he does a fantastic joke about selling hamsters outside of concerts that have had like tattoos of the band name put on the side. And it is man, I was crying driving down the road. It was so funny. So you need to listen to it. It's worth it.
I will consider it.
You should consider it.
I'm heavily considering.
Yeah, honestly.
It might be a listen on my drive on Friday morning. That might be what we listen.
That's an excellent idea. That might be what I do too. I got to make multiple stops because I'm a bus. So maybe
you say because you're a bus or because you're a buzz.
I am a bus and also a buzz.
Craig Formers.
And that's all I watched.
Wedding date in disguise.
Exactly. That's all I watched this week. Andrew, you're up, I think.
My list is both long and short. It's like, what's his name? Chris O'Donnell. They make fun of him on Family Guy. He's not tall. He's not short. But he's not handsome. But he's not ugly. So, I'll start it off with the second greatest show I've ever seen. That's not true. This is bullshit. I watched the second season of Digimon.
Nice.
I crushed that over the last couple nights because I did sweet piss all around my house. And I have had so much to do, and I haven't done any of it because I was too busy watching Digimon Season 2.
I approve.
And that show makes me so angry, but also just makes me so happy at the same time. Because children's cartoons were the shit. Where, like, that one, it spoon feeds you, like, learning opportunities of, like, here, when you have confrontation, do this. Oh, when you're having self-doubt, do this. But then they punctuate it with monsters that kick ass.
That's how you remember the lessons.
That's how you learn the lessons, like Power Rangers, where it starts off where they're like, boom, 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 and then it eventually turns into like, man, this guy is going through some growth opportunities that he hasn't quite figured out on his own. He needs to accept the team, and the team's like, yeah, man, you're more powerful with us, and then like, bow, and they do it, and that's fantastic. But I also hate the fact that they're like, hey, here's two main characters from the first season. You're going to like them because they're a little bit older, and I fucking hate them. The first season, like, I don't know how much, Craig, I assume you know nothing, but Scott,
yeah.
Do you remember any of the characters from the first season of Digimon?
I remember what they look like. That's all I can tell you.
Okay,
I don't remember
the little one,
any details.
like the little kid,
yeah.
Matt's little brother, TK.
Okay.
Does he have the fucking stupid hat?
Yeah, okay, I was about to say that, yeah.
And he's got Patamon, the little, like, rabbit thing with flying ears.
Yeah, okay.
That turns into the badass Angemon, who's, like, one, like, the
cool
strongest
one,
Digimon. Yeah. He just can't use his powers all the time. Like, he comes back.
Okay.
And at the end of season 1, all of the Digimon, like the Digidestins, have to give up their crests, which allow their Digimon to turn into, like, the ultimate level.
Yeah.
So, like, their next level. In order to, like, save the Digiworld. So they can only go up to champion. But there's a few times where just, like, out of the fucking blue, they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, this guy, he can turn into the ultimate for some reason. And you're like, what?
Well, that's
but
a kid's show logic.
But TK, like, his Digimon has the ability to go champion. And he just never does. He's just like, we're going to use our Digi Armor Energize. And we're going to turn him into Pegasusmon, which is literally like a Pegasus with golden armor and just an annoying fucking voice. And I'm like, why? And he doesn't do anything. Like, TK and, I think her name's Kari, like the 8th Digidestin, or the 7th, or whatever the fuck I think it was the 8th. Like, she's got Gatomon, which is this cat. And I'm like, love cats. Who, for some reason, they made her a champion, which I don't understand, because, like, they inserted her, like, halfway through season 1. Like, they could have just called it a rookie level, but they're like, nope, it's a champion.
See?
So now her only way of going to ultimate is to become, like, Anjawomon.
This is starting to spark memories for me. I'm like,
which is which is the same level as, like, Magna Anjumon, but she looks just like Anjumon. It doesn't make sense.
No.
It makes no sense, and it is frustratingly inconsistent. But she turns into, I forget her name, but it's like, it's a sphinx.
Yeah.
It's a flying sphinx, and it's kind of cool looking. And I'm willing to accept that she could, because it's a champion, she can only turn into that one, Nefertimon, that's its name. She could only turn into that one because she can't go ultimate.
Yeah.
But Patamon can turn into Anjumon, and they only do that, like, halfway through the season. And even then, if it's not, like, doing their version of ultimate, which is, like, taking two champions and just DNA shoving them together to become a totally new random looking Digimon. That's the only time he turns into Anjumon. Outside of that, he's like, yeah, let's go this flying horse thing and do sweet piss all. Like, just give me new characters. You don't have to like tie it in with something. Like, it could just be like the main guy. This one kind of looks like another character. Just call them cousins. You don't have to be like, here's two from the originals that mean nothing. And it is frustrating, but it's so good. I'm gonna finish it. I'm like 2/3 of the way through. They just started introducing the ultimate levels, which means another third of the season left before they introduce the megas. And I like the end of this one where they start incorporating other Digidestin from the globe. It's pretty fucking sweet. Can't wait to get there. I binged and finished Kim's Convenience again.
Oh, again.
Because it's a safety blanket show is what it
Fair
is.
enough.
You can sit down, you can watch it, you can enjoy it, you can have a few laughs, you can hear them use their Canadian rules of how they're allowed to say fuck once every episode as long as it's after this time. And it's awesome. And I love it because Canadian content is the best.
And
I watched it.
Oh, I was gonna say just the one guy
No,
is the one guy in it is actually the new Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi, yeah. Canadian. Except he's the guy who was like born in China, and I can't find information on whether or not like he's legitimately Korean, like his family was from Korea and moved to China, or like they were just in China when he popped out, or what. I can't find anything about it, and it's angering me so much because I'm like, it seems so culturally insensitive to be like, here's a Chinese guy, we're gonna make him the main character of a Korean show. It seems culturally insensitive.
I'm guessing you'll get an answer for that soon because he's going to be getting interviewed so much in the next like year or two leading up to that. So
I saw a thing on Facebook and it was like the Beaverton, which is hilarious.
That's the
I love
best
seeing their
satire
pop-ups.
ever.
Absolutely. But they bring him in and he starts talking about how it's a great opportunity for him to show a demographic that hasn't really been represented properly in Marvel. And then as he goes to say it, the one guy's like, Asian. And he's like, Canadian. And you're like, oh shit. And then he's like, yeah, Rachel McAdams and Kobe Smulders, like they paved the way for it to get started. But now I finally get to come in and be a Canadian starring in a Marvel movie. And I'm like,
right on. I like that. I didn't realize actually. I didn't realize.
I don't know if we have a Canada Forever symbol. Like if it's a maple leaf, you're supposed to make with your hands or something.
Yeah.
But like, represent.
That's funny. I actually never thought about that. But yeah, there's like none of the MCU superheroes are Canadian, huh?
Yeah, but
it's because we have Ryan Reynolds. I think that's where we assume. Yeah. It's like we got Deadpool, so we assume we have more. But we just got Deadpool.
We got Logan. He's technically Canadian.
Well, his character is the character.
But but now he gets to be Canadian, or he is Canadian, and he's proud of it. And I'm like, my man. Canada has its moments where it sucks, but not right now.
Then they have the Beaverton.
And they've got the Beaverton, which is so fucking funny. And I think it's because like they don't shove it down your throat. They're like, here's a couple jokes, and now we're gonna talk about this. Rather than being like, here's a whole episode about this and Trump. And you're like, cool. I can live with this. So next up, I watched a couple more episodes of Queer Eye. And I'm not saying I cried. I'm not saying I didn't cry. But they have an episode of a guy, I forget what the name of it is. It's like handicapped but not really. Or like disabled but not really or something like that. And it's about this former gangbanger who one night like rolls up to a place, gets out of the car, and he's talking to like his ex-girlfriend or something like that, and he gets shot, and he's paralyzed, and he's in a wheelchair, and this guy is shredded because he works out like crazy, and he's won a couple of awards for like bodybuilding, in his wheel, and like he pulls himself up the fucking like the rope in the gym, but like with his wheelchair attached to him, and you're like, holy shit. This guy is shredded, and like his whole thing on the episode is just he preaches that like him getting shot and getting like paralyzed is the best thing that's ever happened to him, because he's turned his life a full 180, and he just constantly talks about that the whole episode, about how like the day he got shot he was a gangbanger, and from there he's been trying to like just preach his word of like, you don't have to be in this life, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. At one point the like Karamo, who like in 9 out of 10 episodes is so useless, and it frustrates me. And like they call him the culture guy, and he's not culture. Like if anything, he's like emotions. Like just call him the emotions guy, and I'm okay with that. Because, like, when he talks about his emotions and he talks about the other guy's emotions and, like, the state that they're in, that's when he's doing his best work. But when they just bring him in and they're like, yeah, he's the culture guy, and then he doesn't talk about anything culturally related, you're like, why are you culture? Anyways, he actually sets it up so this guy can meet and talk to the guy who shot him.
Oh.
Like, he tracks him down, and that's, like, his big growing moment, because he had never spoken to the guy, and he had no answers of why he got shot, or why he was even there, or why he even reached for his piece. And he gives him, like, the spiel of, like, listen, like, I understand that you need answers, and, like, I'm not here to beef, but, like, this is what I was seeing, and, like, I didn't know what to expect with you coming here. And then, like, the main guy of the episode's like, listen, like, I forgive you, like, the best thing that's ever happened to me was that, and, like, I never understood why you did it, and I've been kind of lingering on it, but now I can move forwards, and, like, I hold no negative energy towards you, like, I hope you're doing well. And, like, it's a tearjerker, because you're like, both of these guys have moved past, oh my god, and it's beautiful. Like, it is a fantastic, I'm tearing up just talking about this, man. Like, it is a good fucking episode.
That's good.
But then this season they've got more money to play with now.
Yeah.
So, like, Bobby can hire a team to, like, do his vision, and he doesn't have to, like, just do one fucking room. Like, for this guy, because he's in a wheelchair, accessing stuff is a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And they redo his whole house. They knock out a wall in his bathroom so he can actually, like, spin around and, like, see some stuff and look at himself in a mirror because it's angled now. As opposed to before, he had to, like, wheel himself straight in, hop out of the chair onto the can, back into the chair, and back out.
Uh-huh.
But now he can, like, do a full, like, turn in there, and, like, his life is just changed forever again. But Bobby is so immensely talented at what he does. I'm glad that you get to see a little more of, like, what he's doing with it. And as someone who was, like, against watching the show because I didn't think it was going to be for me, love it. It's so good, so good. I'm willing to admit it. I'm man. What else did I watch? Ooh, Scott, I think this is one that you're gonna love. You're gonna hate it.
Okay.
But if you add it to the list, I'm not saying put it before, like, Bad Blood, because fucking watch Bad Blood. But I think you need to watch it because it's so terrible, but it's so good. And I'm gonna Google it because when it came up, when I Googled it on my phone, it had a 100%. There we go, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
It's called The New Legends of Monkey, and it is so bad. It is absolutely terrible.
So why does it have
But
100% on Rotten Tomatoes?
That's what I don't know. It's got like a 6.6 on IMDb, a 3 out of 5 on Common Sense Media, a 92% on Google users, and 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The acting is terrible, and they almost, like, leaned into how bad it is and, like, how bad the special effects are.
Okay.
Like, it feels like...
This is on Netflix, right?
Like, yeah, it feels like a 1997 episode of, like, Kamen Rider,
Okay.
where it's like, yeah, here's our show, but we don't have money to make it look cool, so, like, let's hope for the best. Or, like, where it's like kung fu done by, like, the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Back in, like, their live action movies at first, where it was like, ka-cha, boom, just really over, like, animated motions that don't even touch somebody. It's so bad that it's good, and I think, like, it's a show that you'd be able to sit down and, like, hate all of the episodes, but binge it in one go.
Okay, well, I might have to check that out even before.
Add it to the list.
Yeah.
Because, like, that, I think that's why it gets 100%, because it's so bad that it's good.
I was going to say,
People,
looking
Best
at...
I can tell from it on Rotten Tomatoes is that only one person has given it a review.
well, no, it's...
Some guy who accidentally hit 100.
I'm seeing it's got 6 critics ratings that are giving it the 100, and their average score for it is 6 out of 10. So, like, the 100% is they all gave it a thumbs up in the sense that you choose yes or no to approving of it. So it's got 100%, but it's only got a 6 out of 10, so its quality score isn't so high on it. It's even got a lower score from the audience.
It's so bad that it's good. Like, I would definitely recommend sitting down and watching, like, 3 episodes, because you're like, holy shit, what's next? Let's go. I watched 3 episodes, and I haven't learned anything. I haven't grown as a human being. I'm not Brian Callening it right now, but I'm also like, I'm going to finish this because it's terrible, and I need to know if it ends legit or if it's like maybe next season, and you're like, what? They're gonna give it a second season? Like what? Who like?
Who decided that?
Give Mr. Iglesias a second season before you do this. Jesus. So I watched a couple episodes of The Boys.
Oh, what'd you think?
2.5 episodes, I believe. I really like what I've seen.
Okay.
But it's not a show I can binge.
Oh no!
It kind of feels like Mad Men to me in that respect.
It's a tough one
like,
to binge.
Where I hit a certain point and I'm like, I need a break because I feel like I've watched 3 hours of this.
Yeah.
And it's only been 32 minutes.
Yeah, it's a heavy, and just like a lot going on because they're like, you're kind of living in the moment with them a lot of it. So you're kind of like, you're spending 30 minutes of them dealing with this situation in a couple episodes. And it's like, okay, no, it's a little bit of, I don't want to say drag, but no, I definitely, splitting it up is a good choice.
I really like what I've seen.
Yeah.
But I can't do it in one go.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy to hear they're doing a second season.
Cool. By the time I finish this season, maybe the second. No, I will. Like, it's going to be like 2 episodes a week type thing, and hopefully be done by September. Because I can't do it all in one go. I can't even do an episode in the morning and one at home. Like, I need some space.
No, I get that.
I need to be like, but I really enjoy it.
That's good.
So the next couple things on my list are stand up. I watched the Nate Bargatze and Kyle Kinane on the stand-ups.
Yes. Sam and I were just talking about milk with ice in it. Because we were...
Can I get an iced coffee with milk?
Really quick side tangent, but it was kind of funny.
Yep.
So we went to McDonald's on whatever day of the weekend in the morning for breakfast.
Okay.
And it was just before 11 o'clock. And this 2 guys, middle-aged, looking like they, blue collar their entire lives, come whipping in. The guy's like, I need 2 McGriddles because I know it's not 11 and I just broke a bunch of speed limits to get here. And they're all talking like they're all...
And they're kind of like, isn't it all day breakfast?
They're so excited. You can't get McGriddles after 11 in Port Colborne. It's a thing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Pain in the ass.
That's
so
fair. That's not.
He's all excited about his McGriddles. They order something, and then I'm sitting like they're loud. They're having a conversation with the cashier. They're talking like your typical guys, and then the second guy goes over, and they sit down in the corner of the McDonald's, and the guy's got 2 of those kid bottles of milk.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, there's no way. So it's like those guys that came whipping in.
The guys just ordered milk.
They got milk
in public.
And in public, and Sam's like, did they get ice in it?
But it's too late to say anything. They're both touching the credit card.
I ordered milk with a straw.
Straw. Not as an adult. So I watched that and Kyle Kinane. I just use hula hoop with barbecue sauce. Have you ever tried this? Oh fuck, what was it?
Chicken tikka masala.
Chicken tikka masala. That's what it was. I knew it was chicken something. I was gonna say chicken out like king, but I was like, no, that's definitely a white meat. That's not the joke.
Serve it in an oil pan from an old Ford.
No, it was so good. They are 2 hilarious gentlemen.
Yes, the two best ones.
We downgrade a little bit on this. I watched Aziz Ansari's new special again.
I can't bring myself to do it.
I say watch. I listened to it while I was driving. It's still not terrible, but there's a lot of parts where he does the joke kind of like this, and he's trying to kind of bring you in. And everything that happens just is, and then I get loud.
Yeah,
that's
where
that
he's
part,
fallen into his comfort
like,
thing. Is that's his?
Because I'm like, I gotta crank this up to 40 because I can't fucking hear anything you're saying, and then you blow my speakers out. I drive a lease, Aziz. I can't be blowing out speakers. So the next thing I've got is Theo Vaughn, because he is great to listen to sometimes. And by sometimes, I mean always. Still so funny. They're getting people at Pumpkinhead. So I got that. And the only other thing I'm going to mention is I didn't watch it, but I listened to it. And it was the CBC podcast about Carrie Ann Brown, this teenager from back like 30-something years ago who got raped and murdered in Manitoba. And I think Kendall and I are 3 or 4 episodes in. We listened to it on our drive to and from.
What's it called? I feel like
Ottawa.
I've heard the advertisement for it.
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to ask Kendall. It's part of like I think it's season 5 of whatever the podcast is, but it is captivating. It brings you in. There's this one guy, I forget his name, something with a K. I think like Kevin or Kyle. It's not Kyle, something like that. And he comes in and he's got this like stereotypical Canadian accent. And they're talking about one guy who like he was accused of doing it, but it wasn't him. He was acquitted, but he's brain dead or brain damaged now. And they're like, yeah, he fucking curb stomped him. Had to air helicopter him to Manitoba, or no, to Winnipeg. Had to airlift him to fucking Winnipeg with like that stereotypical Canadian like prairie accent.
Yeah.
And
The
it's just so
hoser
fucking
accent.
good. Yeah. And then I forget what the name of the guy. I want to say it's like Shane or something like that. But somebody knows something. That's the name of the podcast.
Okay, yes, I have heard an advertisement.
Yeah, I
for
heard
it.
the ad for this as well.
It's so good. But I can't remember the name of the guy. But the host. But when this guy that he's talking to, like, talks to him, he's like, yeah, hey, and he says the guy's name all the time. Like, I'm gonna say it's Jim. Like, hey, Jim, you do. Oh, it's Dave. That's what it is. It's fucking Dave.
Of course it's
I knew
Dave.
it was like it's
Because it
fucking
fits.
Yeah, you're gonna make a left up here, eh, Dave? And I'm like, there's like 2 of you in the car, man. like even if there's 3 of you, like, fucking
One guy's
just tell
driving.
the guy who's driving to turn left. Like,
One guy's driving.
or he's like, oh, it's fucking cold out here, eh, Dave? And you're like, it's just the 2 of you who are conducting the like. You gotta talk to John, who's doing the boom mic. Like, he's supposed to be quiet. Like, it's just
That's
one of
what
those
you get
things.
Gian
Just,
for.
yeah, Gian.
The deaf sound
No,
guy.
it's yeah. Gian pulls it off again.
Did you get that?
No, it's yeah. Gian. He's Bobby Bottle Service. Bobby B, aka Bobby Bottle Service. But no, this is a spectacular series. There's another one we started that I'm really curious about because it's about, they call her the Cat Lady, and we listened to 1 episode and then moved on because she didn't download the next episode by accident, and I was like, fuck, not gonna know.
That's why I do Spotify.
She did Podbean
Because
I
it's
believe.
super lightweight. That's how I listen to my CBC podcasts.
But no, it's very interesting. I look forward to finding out the rest of it because that will definitely be on the list of stuff we listen to on our drive Friday. But no, real good series. Only thing is that Cat Lady one, whoever the host of it was, just had a really creepy voice, and I think he did it on purpose. But it made me physically uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Creepy voices, especially in a podcast. I'll get you.
Which is
Man,
weird.
like he sounds like the kind of guy who's gonna like touch your hand while walking past you on a street, and you're like, "Ugh, that was creepy." And then everywhere you turn, you're gonna see him by accident. Like he just happens to be going the same way, but he's there.
Yeah, there's like 4 of those people in my life right now, and I don't like it. It's very awkward. I feel like being stalked, but sometimes I'm also like, am I just a narcissist? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Probably.
It might be a little bit both.
Yeah.
Or we're all just on the
But,
same bus. Who knows?
Yeah, that's it. But that's all I watched this week.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that brings us to the end this week. What I thought was going to be a shorter episode.
I mean,
Note-
compared to
note-
our other ones, it's shorter. Our recent ones is shorter.
Yeah. Sometimes you have a good episode.
Yeah.
Then you have this week.
Yeah. See you.
Thanks for listening,
Tune in
guys.
next week to see if it gets better.
Psych. Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about something else.
Bye.
Thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
listening this week, guys. Bye.